emotion. Yes.
Gold ones are coming in.
aham avirohomi abhyabajo homi anigo homi suki adana pariharami mama madhapitu acharyaja nyadimidaja sabrahmacharinoja avirahantu abhyamajahantu anikahantu suki adana pariharantu imasume arame sabiyogino avirahantu abhyamajahantu anikahantu suki adana pariharantu imasume arame sabi meku nicha upasaka upasika yoja avirahantu abhyapachahantu anikahantu suki adana pariharantu sabi sada sabi panna sabi buddha sabi ukala sabi adabhava pariyapanna sabadiyo sabe purisa sabe ariya sabe anariya sabe deva sabe manusa sabe vini mariga avirahantu abhyapachahantu anikahantu suki adana pariharantu avirahantu abhyapachahantu anikahantu suki adana pariharantu.
So welcome to everybody this morning at the Buddha Loka Centre, and welcome to all those that are online and on the Discord server. Now we hand over to Adrian to do the official welcome on this very special day, our birthday.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, Ayahs. All the Ayahs and all the Ajahns, thank you for the great day celebrations here. My apologies for being late, just got caught up with a few things here. Today is a very special occasion. According to the National Center for Charitable Statistics, which was conducted in the States, United States, and it was released in 2023 March, about 30% of not-for-profit organizations ceased to exist after 10 years. BSV is 70 years. That is a very remarkable achievement. And we should rejoice and use this special occasion to celebrate such an achievement. Oh, by the way, Ayah, how are you? Long time no see. Thank you for coming. The Ayah used to be one of our lay members, and she became a nun. That's wonderful. Sorry for distractions here. Good morning, everyone here, and thank you for all giving your time to be with us today in these special occasions. And as I said, it's not every day or not every day, not often to hear an organization, even persons, celebrate the 70th birthday. So it is very auspicious indeed. I'd like to thank you, all of you, and also some of the great members, and also I heard that some of the relatives of one of our late founders, Len Henderson, will be joining us this afternoon. I hope that their friends will be able to, some of the late members will be able to join us too as well. And their name is Mrs. Joan Henderson, and the daughter is Nairi. They will be joining us after lunch, as I understand. Let me see here. Yeah, so I don't think I should spend too much time talking too much. I'm sure a lot of our past presidents and the monastics will be doing some good reflections about what society has done for the past years. And today's a special day, as I mentioned. Please relax and enjoy the day proceeding. Welcome again. Thank you. Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, Sweet Jude. I also like to welcome the online virtuous participants on YouTube as well as Discord. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us there. Thank you. Do you want me to run down the agenda?
Just for the people on Discord, so at the YouTube portion, we're only running it until the end of the blessings, but for Discord, we'll have that available for the pindapata and then also the later session if they want to join that as well. Okay.
Oh, thank you. So I should then pass on to the monastics to lead the processions.
Lead the taking of the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. This is a really important part of our practice, and it's something the Buddha emphasized, foundational. So, and I'd also like to welcome those members. I'm hoping some of the older members are watching online now, maybe Joan and Nairi and so forth are watching, and some of Sydney Hill's family, so that would be great. So now the lay community can request the 3 refuges and 5 precepts, and I know somebody who's an expert. Savitri, she's great.
Venerable Sir, we do seek from you for individual observance the 5 precepts along with 3 gems. For the second time, Venerable Sir, we do seek from you for individual observance the 5 precepts along with 3 gems. For the third time, Venerable Sir, we do seek from you for individual observance the 5 precepts along with 3 gems.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And there won't be slides for this, so if you can follow along, if you can remember what I chant, and if you can follow it, because I think this is a nicer version, actually, of the English. We do it in English, not in the Pali, so many people can understand it. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly awakened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly awakened one. Homage to the Blessed Noble and Perfectly Awakened One. The Blessed Noble and Perfectly Awakened One. Noble and Perfectly Awakened One. Homage to the Blessed Noble and Perfectly Awakened One. And now, line by line, to the Buddha I go for refuge. To the Dhamma I go for refuge. To the Sangha I go for refuge. For the second time to the Buddha I go for refuge. For the second time to the Dhamma I go for refuge. For the second time to the Sangha I go for refuge. For the third time to the Buddha I go for refuge. For the third time to the Dhamma I go for refuge. For the third time to the Sangha I go for refuge. This completes the going for refuge. And now for the precepts, for those who'd like to take the precepts. I undertake the training rule to refrain from deliberately killing living beings. I undertake. I undertake the training rule to refrain from stealing. I undertake the training rule to refrain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to refrain from lying. I undertake the training rule to refrain from alcohol and drugs that lead to carelessness. Sorry. Undertake the training rule to refrain from alcohol and drugs that lead to carelessness. Good, good. These 5 training rules are a vehicle for happiness, a vehicle for good fortune, a vehicle for liberation. Therefore, let ethical living be purified. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. So, there we are. This is a very important part of the proceedings. Part of our Buddhist practice is, of course, this morality, this ethical living, and it really impacts on our lives and other people's lives. So very, very important. So now is on the program, it's time for the birthday messages from myself and Adrian, are you doing a separate one now? And Aya Upeka and then Ajahn Brahm. So Aya Upeka and I are doing a joint one, so this will be interesting. So we'll see how it goes on this day, reflecting, this is a birthday message for the 70th anniversary. And for me, this day is really a celebration in terms of rejoicing in what we have achieved, what has been achieved. And I think this is not only in the physical sense, because very often we do, don't we? We focus on the physical side of it and say, oh, we've got a city centre, we've got a monastery and all these things. But very much what we have achieved, what we've developed through our practice and various members have developed. And also having, rejoiced in that. This is what we call anumodana, really, or mudita, just to be so grateful for all those things that have been achieved physically and spiritually that we see here today in the 70th anniversary, or some of it we see. The spiritual you can't see, but you can certainly experience it in terms of interactions. So that's what I would contribute to reflection on this message, this birthday message. So for BSV, this is fantastic landmark. And it's good that we have these landmarks because we won't always be here. And it's good that we celebrate it because many of the members, we're getting older, myself included. Will we be here for the 80th? Who knows? So good to celebrate while we can and to appreciate all that we have. We tend to focus in life these days on what needs to be done, what we're aiming at, what our ambitions are for the Buddhist Society. And too often we don't look back and think, wow, this is pretty good, this is wonderful, and appreciate it. So I'd like to just invite Aya if she'd like to say something as well.
Thank you, Ajahn.
I think I've hogged the time a bit, but...
Okay. I wasn't really prepared for this, but I think what I noticed this morning when we arrived was that cheerfulness, joy, the few supporters and our committee members in the, vihara there, congratulating happy birthday and taking photos. There was such a lovely, lively, happy air, atmosphere over there. And that really brought me to reflect that, wow, BSV, you have done a wonderful job. 70 years old, imagine, according to our Chinese saying, when you have an elderly in the family, it's just like having a treasure, a gem, because of the experience, because of their maturity in wisdom and compassion. So what came to my mind was that BSV, you have touched the lives of so many people, and we hope that BSV will continue to grow in and mature in compassion, wisdom, peace, harmony, to support the generations now and future generations, many, many more birthdays to come. So happy birthday, BSV.
Yeah. Sadhu.
Is that good enough, Ajahn?
That's good. Thank you. I can't see you, but thank you. Also, I do reflect that, you know, that when we look at today, just seeing the Sangha here, that's the message, isn't it? To see that a Sangha, we've got such a Sangha here at BSV, we used to struggle for years to get one visiting teacher to stay for some period of time. So this is fantastic. And we have fully ordained nuns. We'll touch on that later, I think, for sure. So I think now is the time, actually we look for, yes, we have got a little bit more time for the Ajahn Brahm's video, his birthday message to the BSV. I haven't seen it yet. I won't see it actually, but I'll hear it. I'll see it here.
Hello, Buddhist Society of Victoria, the oldest Buddhist society in Australia, a place where so much good karma has been made over the years. And you're 70 years old today, and unfortunately for you though, I'm 72, but I'm not a Buddhist society, I'm just a Buddhist monk, and I've been very happy to have served you for as many years as I have been able to. That's about 38 years, I think, since I first went to the Buddhist Society of Victoria to give some talks, and that was in the old days when you had a small house in Richmond, and you've come such a long way in all that time. And it's amazing just what you have achieved. A beautiful centre over in Darling Road. And not only that, a beautiful monastery for monks and nuns over in Newbury, and a retreat centre. It's taking a bit of time. But then, when we look at the Buddhist picture of so many eons and so many thousands of years, of course we allow it to take time as long as it's done well. And there's one thing which I know, is that it will eventually get finished with a big meditation hall and all of the accommodation units for everybody. And each one of you, no matter how you have served and looked after, you should feel extremely proud of what a great achievement that has been to create something in Victoria, a Buddhist society which is amazing and brings people from so many different nations to work together for the sake of the Dhamma and from keeping this Dhamma alive for so many generations. It is true that each one of us pushes that Dhamma wheel as hard as we can, as long as we can. But some of those old members, I remember when I first went there, and they can't really push that much anymore. They've either passed away or they are getting old. And I just thank them, all of you, which I've known for such a long time, and all those who are still managing to contribute in whichever way they can, and all those younger ones who are working so hard for the sake of the Dhamma. That's what this Buddhist Society of Victoria is all about, giving people the opportunity to work hard, have this beautiful feeling for the Dhamma in their hearts, and to show that we can build something amazing, a refuge. We have refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dhamma, and a refuge in the Sangha, not just one monk or two monks, not just a male Sangha, but a refuge in the whole Sangha of monks and nuns. It's incredible what you've achieved over there in Melbourne. So, sadhu, 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 well done, and happy 70th birthday. I can't be there at the 70th birthday, it's only during our range retreat, but certainly I will come over later to be able to serve and help in whichever way I possibly can. So congratulations, BSV, Buddhist Superior Society of Victoria. All the best.
That's very good. Very nice. That's great. Yep. Oh, right, yeah, I forgot.
This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest things that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, the medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects her life, her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outward and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said as to the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being free from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
The next item we have is a presentation of BSV history in Melbourne. Can I call upon Helen?
Oh.
And there's a slide too.
Oh, okay. We go down again.
Oh, here you are.
Do you need? Oh, yeah, yeah. Shall the Sangha just moved to the seats? There we are. Yes, there we are. Can. Pull it.
everyone. My name's Helen.
Do you want to turn around to Helen so people can see? Probably
Alternate. Good morning, everyone. My name's Helen. I'm Helen Richardson, and I've been a member of the Buddhist Society since 1983, so I've been around a while. Let's go back 70 years and longer, and to the beginnings of Buddhism in Australia, and really to the beginnings of the BSV, to a small group of people who had developed an interest in Buddhism. It was mainly academic. It was in the 1930s and 40s that they started meeting, and then World War II came along. After the war, they met up in cafes and public rooms, and in 1953, they decided to form the Buddhist Society of Victoria. Why not? There were no other Buddhist groups around then. They were inspired by books such as Christmas Humphreys, by Asian culture, particularly Japanese culture, and the first visits of Asian Sangha coming to this country, such as Venerable Narada Thera and Sayadaw Tatila from Burma. A few even went to Asia to take ordination. They were an interesting group, and in the first few years, they took turns being president. There we have Sydney Hill. Max Dunn was very interesting. He was a poet, and he had his portrait painted for the Archibald. Len Henderson, he was a Zen scholar. And then we had Fred Whittle, who was president in 57, but went on to be vice president for 15 years and a very committed member. And there you can see Max and Les presenting. It was actually a William Ricketts sculpture to the Burmese premier. And there's Les, another founding member. He was a Japanese scholar, a lecturer in Asian studies. And really, this group, they were really planting the seed of something very special. And over the next 20 years or so, the group continued to meet just in cafes and in private homes. And so we're skipping forward now 20 years to 10 years first to Elizabeth joining the society in 1963. Elizabeth Bell, she was a stalwart of the BSV. She served for 30 years as secretary, treasurer, librarian, and then president for around 20 years. So she really shaped and guided the BSV in those formative decades. And Bea Rebush was treasurer. She was by her side for many years. They were looking for a property, and in 1975, the BSV found a house in Mary Street, Richmond, and they moved that, and that became their vihara. Teachings were often crowded in the lounge, but many teachings were given there, and there was dana in the backyard. And Sri Lankan, we began to see Sri Lankan members, very welcome members, and Elizabeth Bell, she very much enjoyed having them. And in that photo you can see Fred on the right and another committed member, John Fairbrass, also in the front. So we're moving into the 1980s now, and one of our first resident monks was Venerable Dhammika. Very popular, a little bit controversial, and he went on to write many books. Prakanti Palo, the English monk who was co-founder of Wat Buddha Dhamma, became a regular visit. He gave many teachings, public talks and retreats, and he also began a bit of a two-way migration in a way, because many of the members went up to the Wat to participate in the retreats. So there's some press clippings for Prakanti Palo. And then in 1985, we began a newsletter, a local newsletter. Before that, Elizabeth had worked on the national newsletter, Metta. Then Ajahn Brahm was another visitor in the 80s. He gave many public talks. There's some press clippings for Ajahn Brahm. And as well as, he also guided the society very much towards, they were already looking for new premises. Ayakima was a very popular and inspirational visitor at that time. She was also one of the founders of Wat Buddha Dhamma. She had a lot to do with the commencement of Sakyadhita, And she was another one who inspired the BSV members to head up to the Wat for retreats up there. She gave many meditation retreats. There's one at Lovely Banks in the mid-80s, and there's some of the press clippings from the time. Meanwhile, at Mary Street, they were developing a library. It became one of the largest collections in the country. The Sri Lankan monk, Venerable Kassapa Thera, was a resident in the 1988, and during his time we had the visit of the Premier of Sri Lanka, Pramadasa Ranasinghe, who came in and just sat in the hall like a regular visitor. Another popular visitor was Venerable Ananda from Holland. He also gave many teachings and retreats. Chanting Ma was one of the first ordained nuns. She'd taken ordination at Wat Buddha Dhamma, and here she is giving a retreat at Mount Eliza. So from the beginning you can see the Buddhist Society was reaching out to the community. It wasn't just being insular, it was reaching out and taking the Dharma with public talks and events out into the community. And we're very grateful for many of the members at that time for all the work they did working behind the time. You can see Ranjit there, and he organised this very grand Buddhist convention at the time. It wasn't really BSV, but it was quite something. One of the members who did a lot of work was Dr. Mervyn Mendes. He recorded the sessions. He was a Buddhist chaplain. He was on the committee. He helped find this property, very, very influential. There's a librarian at the time, Gake, with David Cheel, who became president, and Malika, who had very strong secretarial skills. And then, we have some of the members who joined the Sangha. Among them, Anthony Valla became Venerable Abhignano, and John Southia became Venerable Nisarano. And I think we have, if I'm right, Ayya Samadhi here today, who was a member at that time. And at the, as we just heard from Ajahn Brahm 35 years ago, at the end of the 80s, early 90s, we began to get the first visit of Ajahn Brahm. And so by the end of the 80s, the membership is growing and the society is looking for new premises and formalising the constitution. And if you're wondering why someone circled, it might be one of the monks who's here today. So we're moving into the 1990s. And this is the committee at the time outside Mary Street on the footpath there. George Ho on the left was another very committed member. I remember him cooking for retreats. Elizabeth Bell in the middle, Dr. Mendes to her left, Dr. Jaya to her right. He's been around a very long time. B. Rebush there, Malika and David Cheel as well. Ajahn Sumedho was a very important visitor. He was the Abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery in the UK, and if I'm right, he was seen as the sort of head of all the Ajahn Chah Western Sangha. So I think very important, very influential, and he came a number of times. So around this time, Ayya Kaminda became the resident teacher. And then, after a very long search, a new home was found. The Buddha Loka Centre opened in 1994 in Vesak ceremony in May 1994. And various dignitaries attended the ceremony, including the MP Peter Costello, people from other faith groups, local councillors and other dignitaries. Many Sangha attended from various traditions, and it was quite a ceremony. And we've circled there Fred Whittle, who is still going strong at the age of 90, a very committed member, one of our founding members there. And in the backyard, relaxing there, you can see our former treasurer then, Elizabeth, Gaikong and George. The stained glass window was originally from Richmond. It had been in the front door and it was transferred here, so if you're ever wondering where that came from. And then, of course, there needed a lot of work for renovation, etc. So people, I think that's Russell there working in the garden. And after some time, an extension was made to the cottage next door so there could be a larger area for dana. And, there was these visiting Burmese monks, so hospitality and dana was always part of it. And there you see the very important presidents who came in after Elizabeth from 1990 through to 2023. Michael Wells wrote a play, Prince Siddhartha, and that was produced at the Alexander Theatre in Monash in 1996. And continuing another visit from Ajahn Brahm with Dana and Judith presenting there. At the end of the 90s, Elizabeth Bell was awarded a Order of Australia for her services to Buddhism. I think, if I'm right, she was one of the first to be acknowledged for her work in the Buddhist community. So Elizabeth Bell, the former president for, I think, over 20 years, awarded there. So we're moving into the 2000s now. And things are going strong with fundraising, meetings, and more teachings coming through, and committee events as well. One of the visiting nuns was the American nun, Ayatanasanti, very vivacious, very popular. She'd trained at Amravati Monastery in the UK. And then we had our 50th anniversary that was celebrated in the Box Hill Town Hall with performances. Ajahn Brahm was there to give a talk. So that was quite a successful evening. And we got some press for the 50th and looking at Buddhism in Australia. And from that we got this lovely photo of Elizabeth when she's 91. And here we have some of the teachers in the 2000. As I said, many teachers were coming through, which sort of added to the strength of the society at the time. And thanks to the Mendes family, particularly Priya Mendes, we had the Buddha Rupa installed at the front of the temple at about that time. And then Sanghamita Rama, came along. You're going to hear more about Sanghamita Rama this afternoon, so we'll just skim through some of the shots here of the nuns, of one of the opening ceremonies. And the Dharma school by this time was getting going, and some of the children are in a Dharma school play. And in 2009, major renovations with a second story added to the building here for the library. And in 2010, you can see our resident monk there, Monk Jag. And in 2013, we had the 60th anniversary, which was held in a public hall. And you can see fundraising had begun there towards the monastery, or towards the monastery in the country. And meanwhile, retreats were being held all through that time. Many were held down in Anglesey. There's Venerable Kalyano in one of those retreats. And at the same time, we had the teens group and the citizen group being established. And many interesting activities going on, such as the children there in the Sunday school and Chinese New Year. And as I said, there'll be more about Newbury this afternoon, but here we have the beginnings, finding the property of Newbury. And the official opening came in May 2015. And there we have turning the sod, and I think that's Brahm with the cement mixer over there, so very early days. And a very important development was an online making our teachings available on YouTube, etc. And this, of course, stood us in very great stead when the lockdown and COVID hit. So the community has thrived. Here they are in 2022. The Newbury community has really developed. You can see there Ajahn Nisarano and Ayurupeka, of course, the bhikkhu and bhikkhuni representatives out the front of the building here. And here are the nuns' ordinations. And these are just so wonderful to see that we can now have ordinations in Australia. I mean, it's taken such a long time, so difficult to establish a bhikkhuni faith, and we really need to thank people like our very own Ranjani, who, for the establishment of the bhikkhuni tradition, and also Ajahn Brahm, who has gone out on a limb for the nuns in spite of, in a way, in spite of the Thai Sangha. So putting on my Sakadita hat, that's really fabulous to see. And there we have the building of the Sangha house and the wonderful new kutis for the monks, and the kangaroos look like they're enjoying it, and Ajahn Brahm in his very special kuti. And special events are being celebrated in Newbury for Vesak. You can see what's happening up there. And the most recent event was the development of the meditation centre, the Sanctuary of Stillness, which is still going on. I'm not sure when it's due for completion, but soon. Did you say 4 weeks? Not that soon. So, as you can see, the society has flourished from such a small beginning in the 1950s. We've developed into a large and flourishing society, and it's just wonderful to see there the nuns and the monks and all the lay people who have helped so much with all the development of society. And thank you to you all for all that you've done with the development of the society. We haven't named everyone who's given so much, but it's really been wonderful. And when you think it all began with a small group of people, just 4 or 5 really, just meeting in a cafe, it really, as Adrian said, it really is a remarkable development. So thank you very much, everyone. One more slide. And thank you to, as I said, to the members and to Ajahn Brahm. And I'd like to just add some personal thanks. I'd like to thank Judith MacDonald. We've worked together on this history project. So thank you, Judith. And you can read Judith's work, her timeline, which she's put up there looking great. If you want to know more about the history, it's up on the walls. So please have a look at that today. I'd also like to thank Yasmin Moore, who stepped in and got this PowerPoint into shape and did the last couple of decades. So I'm very grateful to Yasmin. And also I think we owe some thanks to the nuns at Newbury for their contributions. And I tried to be as accurate as possible, but if there's any mistakes, I do apologise. Judith, did you want to say anything? Is she here?
I pay my respects to the Ajahns and the Ayahs. Thank you for all you've done. Congratulations, Helen and Yasmin, on that beautiful PowerPoint presentation. It's fantastic. I just wanted to say a few words and a few thank yous about the timeline. It's the story of the BSV, and if you ever doubted that a small group of people 70 years ago who sat down and said, let's form a group to study Buddhism. Well, from little things, big things grow. So it's a very special day. I want to thank a few people. Vali. Is Vali here? Vali? No? Oh dear. What a pity. Anyway, Vali is responsible for the graphic design and the layout of the beautiful timeline. So in absence, thank you, Bali, you did a great job. Also to Aya Upeka and Aya Santa for the photos and all your work. We've got lots of photos that are not included, but they'll go in the history archives. And Venerable Nasarano and Michael Wells for checking the text and bringing it up to date. And finally, for the team that helped install the timeline yesterday, Indira, Rohan, Cora, Padmini, thank you very, very much. Okay, thanks, Helen.
Thank you very much, Helen and Judith, for the wonderful reflections of the history of the BSV. We move on to the next item, which is the Dhamma talk by Ajahn Nisarano. Oh, in between video, sorry.
BSV presents Jataka 322, Dhamma Jataka. Wouldn't it be terrible if the earth broke out and the sky fell down? Ow! Dog! Yeah? The sky fell down. Tell everybody. Really? Yeah, we better run. Hey, Eagle, did you know the sky's falling down? What? You're talking the sky's falling down. What? We better run. You, brown man, did you know the sky's falling down? Oh, that's terrible. Yo, monkey, do you know the sky's falling down? What? Hey, wolf, did you know the sky's falling down? All the animals were so scared and frightened that they were planning to jump into the ocean. Lion, the sky's falling down. Oh, that can't be true. Who told you that the sky's falling down? The monkey. Hey, monkey, who told you that the sky's falling down? Bear! Hello, Bear. Who told you that the sky's falling down? Oh, that was Tiger. Hello, Tiger. Who told you that the sky's falling down? This eagle. Yo, pigeon. Who told you that the sky's falling down? First of all, I'm a little bit of an eagle, and the dog told me. Hi, dog. Who told you that the sky's falling down? It was a rabbit. Hi, Rabbit. Who told you that the sky's falling down? Well, me, myself, and I told myself that the sky was falling down. It was right here. Stay back. It could have more parts that's planning to fall down later. This is what you saw. Are you sure? Yeah, it's just a manga. It can't do anything, and the sky's certainly not falling down. All because of the Bodhisattva's compassion and wisdom, he was able to save all of the animals from drowning in the ocean.
Thank you for the Sunday school children for the wonderful work. We move on to the next item, which is Dhamma talk, Dhamma reflections by Ajahn Nisarano.
So, thank you very much, Helen, for that very beautiful PowerPoint presentation of the history, and really comprehensive for us to see the whole length and breadth of the BSV. You know, this is wonderful. It gives us a real appreciation of, you know, all the people that have contributed to it over this time. And of course, you know, I think I always feel like looking back, we can think, what a view, what a view when we can see so much that has been achieved, so much has been developed. And I would encourage everyone, I think Helen would do this too, to have a look at Elizabeth Bell's recollection of the Buddhist Society of Victoria, 1953 to 1998. And amazing, she says at the beginning of that, she says, there was no Buddhist scene in Melbourne. Just a few people getting together, few people on their own really, studying Buddhism and trying to practice it, bring it into their life, and also trying, if they had any occasions, to share that with other people. And so it makes us really appreciate that. And that's why the Buddhist Society of Victoria is called the Buddhist Society. There was no other Buddhist society, nothing. So this is really an amazing achievement to go from that to the present day. And I think when you see the pictures and also the timeline that Judith has done too, you just realise how amazing it has, that it's all developed from that small group of people having a coffee, probably in a cafe in Melbourne in 1953. Though they had been interested, of course, in developing. They'd been talking, some of them had been talking before that and been coming for a long while. And so now you see that we have a fully fledged Buddhist community. And of course, the Buddhist community, what's the Buddhist community? It's us. It's all the people that are here today, all the people that have been involved with the BSV over the years. That is the Buddhist Society. Often when we talk about these organisations, they sound remote. But in actual fact, it's the people that make the Buddhist Society. It's the community that makes the Buddhist Society. The BSV is the community that supports it, that benefits from it. And of course that community, and this is one of the big things that has developed over the years, this emphasis on the fourfold community, the complete Buddhist community, including all those outside the Buddhist community who can benefit from this teaching. So we now have fully ordained monks. That's been the case for a long time, so that's not such a big thing. But we have, what is a big thing, of course, is the fully ordained nuns, bhikkhunis, to have them in existence, and to have a society that has the Sangha, a Bhikkhu Sangha and a Bhikkhuni Sangha. And for the nuns, of course, you know, that development started in 2007 with the founding of Sanghamita Rama, Sanghamita Rama Bhikkhuni residence in 2007. And I thought, when I was reflecting on this, I thought, oh, gee, we were ahead of the BSWA, the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, because they only ordained bhikkhunis in 2009, but we had some before then. But we weren't ordaining at that time. So now we have, as you can see, 4 fully ordained bhikkhunis here, and we saw some photos of that wonderful occasion in May this year. It's not that long ago, when we had when Ayasanta received full ordination here in Newbury. The others had received it in other locations, of course, one at Bodh Gaya, at the Bodhi tree, so near the Bodhi tree, so fantastic. And 2 other nuns have also been ordained, but they're not here. They've moved to other places. And of course, you know, when we think of the Buddhist community, it's great to think of the monks and the nuns, but of course, the lay community is where the monks and nuns are coming from. This community, of course, is a dynamic thing. It's from the lay community that monks and nuns come into being. We do not appear out of thin air or from the sky or wherever. So this is where some of us have come from, the actual Buddhist Society of Victoria, myself included, and some of the nuns have been members, and we have Venerable Nivato, we have probably quite a few others too who have, and of course, Venerable Samadhi. So wonderful, you know. So this is a dynamic process. This community is a dynamic thing. And we are, you know, those that are able to commit or wish to practice as monastics, then they can make that move. And now we have a monastery where that's possible. And it's always good to realise that, and of course I was going to mention too, Helen mentioned, some of our early members ordained, didn't they? Really from the beginning, you can see the importance of Sangha. Sydney Hill, he ordained, I think in Cambodia, and Fred Whittle, I think in Myanmar, actually. I think that was the way. So that's going back a long way. But the lay community, of course, now it's developed into the full, what we say, whole of life community, because we have the Dhamma school, and you've seen some of the lovely videos that they've done. I quite like the sky falling down. It's a bit more animated than the Metta. And the Dhamma school is catering for those children from 6 to 13. And then the teens group, and myself, Ajahn Sadaro, and Ajahn Mudito, and Ajahn Ranabihari, and sometimes the nuns, we teach with the teens group, which is great. And that's from 13 to 18. And then City Zen from 18 plus to 35. So we have, and then from 35 on, we don't have a group, we're just it. I suppose we're the oldies. I'm not sure. And the important thing too, now we have, and I think it's very good that you mentioned this, Helen, the Discord group and the online teaching through YouTube. Fantastic. That it's really one of the big agendas for the Buddhist Society, one of the main objectives is to share what we have found, to share with those who are interested in the Buddhist teaching. And this has made it so, it's reached so much further than before. I mean, before COVID, we still had YouTube, and we were ahead in the sense of already having that in place. But since then, it's really developed. And in a sense, that's a plus from COVID, one of the rare pluses. So that's great. So now we have an online community. And I always like to emphasize that, especially the YouTube, because as we're getting older, it gets harder to come to the temple, harder to come to the centre. But with the YouTube, we can watch, we can participate, and hopefully we feel somewhat involved in it too. So that we try to do that. And of course, this is the community, the fourfold community, which we really, I think we've really seen develop in a very good way. And to have all the physical facilities, we need physical facilities to practice the Dhamma. The Buddhist Society's aim, of course, is to teach the Dhamma, for us to learn it, to practice it, and to realise it. And of course, realising it is the aim of the Buddhist path, liberation. But in order to do that, yep, you do need facilities. And we're very lucky we had Mary Street. And you can see once there is a centre, the Buddhist Society really took off. And more teachers came, some staying at the Mary Street premises. And now we have the Buddha Loka Centre, which is a fantastic location. And I can see this developing over the years into a much bigger centre than we have now. And this is very important as a venue for teaching and for practicing the Dhamma. Hopefully, I don't know if anybody's realised the Dhamma here, but it'll be great. And of course we have the Newbury Buddhist Monastery, you've all heard about that. We have a monk's monastery and a nun's monastery. And we have the Sanctuary of Stillness. May it be a Sanctuary of Stillness for many, many people, for many years to come. May it really be a place where they become very still, very clear, their minds very powerful, and see the Dhamma in its depth. So this is the idea behind SOS, as we call it, the Sanctuary of Stillness Meditation Retreat Centre. And it's coming soon, like everything. So I jokingly call Newbury the 3-in-1 monastery, because some people will know what that alludes to. 3-in-1 is this very popular drink, mainly in Asia actually, you get it, which is coffee, sugar and whitener, coffee mate or whatever. And they call it 3-in-1, but we're the 3-in-1 monastery. We've got the nuns, the monks, got to put my fingers together, and the meditation retreat centre. So this physical side is very important. And we're very, very lucky that we have had the support of someone like Ajahn Brahm, because without it, we would probably be still trailing. We would be slowly developing. And of course, how has all this happened? Has it happened miraculously? No. A lot of hard work from a lot of people. A lot of you are here today. And this is very important to remember that, as I mentioned before, the BSV is us. All of us that are here. All of the members that have been here over the years and contributed to the BSV becoming what it is today. So that's great. And it's always to me, it's very interesting, the whole of the Buddha Sasana, the whole of the Buddha's dispensation, everyone are volunteers, were volunteers, are volunteers, will be volunteers. The Buddha was a volunteer. And so this is great, and we really appreciate that the founding members that started the wheel of Dhamma rolling, as Ajahn Brahm mentioned, and each and every one of us is contributing in our own way to that wheel continuing to roll. And so this is, of course, all the founders, the past presidents, and I always remember Elizabeth Bell very fondly, but there was Fred Whittle. B. Bush wasn't actually a president, but she was a treasurer for 18 years, amazing. And Metta, Cora, Michael Wells is here, and Cora, I can see, hello Cora, and many other, and I think there's probably others here that I've missed out, and Michael Wells, yes, and we thank them for their leadership and all their hard work over the years to make the Buddhist Society what it is. Committee work is not easy. I think it's a great Dhamma practice actually, and you see some of the committee members have really developed a lot of equanimity. and so it is hard work, but it's something that really shapes where we're going. So please, this afternoon, of course, we can hear from some of the past presidents about that, and that we really appreciate what they've given over the years. And of course, one of the guiding things that you see with the Buddhist Society of Victoria's history is the influence of Sangha right from the 1950s. And Helen showed, that Sayadaw Utatila and Venerable Narada came. But also I remember reading in history, in Elizabeth Bell's history, that Venerable Dhammadina came. And she was an American nun. When did she come? 1952. And she was actually a great inspiration for the Buddhist Society of New South Wales being founded, because she went to New South Wales. So even then, the Sangha was influencing in the 1950s, and it's continued. And this is an important point because, of course, the Buddhist community, very important part of the Buddhist community is the Sangha. The monks and the nuns. And some of the guiding lights, Helen's already mentioned, for Venerable Dhammika, that was very good. I hadn't I hadn't remembered, because there's so many that you could mention. And Ayakema, of course, because they founded Wat Buddha Dhamma together, so that's amazing. And the Ajahn Chah disciples that came probably later, just after Prakantipalo. And we saw Ajahn Sumedho, and of course Ajahn Jagaro, Ajahn Brahm. And I'd like to mention too ex-monk Jag. I hope he's watching, if he's not here, John Wakefield, because he was instrumental. I think people often forget that he was the one who was the driving force for behind Newbury Monastery being established. And developing the fourfold community was very much part of his vision and Aya's vision. They worked together on that. And of course, the pioneer, Irupeka, that's what I call it. She probably gets very, very tired of me. I do it at the monastery all the time, say, I'm the pioneer. I know she probably thinks, it makes me sound so old. And that provided all that inspiration. Inspiration is so important for us, actually. Not only that, the example, and they've given energy, and I know, I remember when this centre opened, and I was a layperson, I was helping here with the setting up of the centre, Ajahn Jagro was an incredible dynamo of energy, just incredible to witness, actually, and had leadership too, and especially some of the Sangha have great leaders, and the physical and spiritual support. So this is giving some of the Sangha that have been involved. And of course there could be many others one could mention. Ayya Kaminda, of course, in her time, and obviously Ajahn Thanasanti was a very important one for the nuns too, for really getting that, making that a reality for the Buddhist Society. So all this, where did it come from? Dana, from giving, from generosity. So this is an important quality, foundational quality of the Buddha's teaching, isn't it? Dana, I mentioned before, sila, this is ethical living. This is our actions of body, speech and mind. So very important. So dana has been the foundation here. And I think it goes without saying that the dana is, of course, the financial support we've received over the years, big and small, and still receive. And this is vital, otherwise Newbury would have been impossible. And I won't name anybody, the list is too long. And also many people have danaed their skills for the sake of the Buddhist Society, and that has been very evident in the development of the Buddhist Society. And so many people have donated time, and this is a very valuable commodity, probably the most valuable commodity these days, time. So this is where the dana is coming together. And when we are working together, of course, it builds that feeling, that sense of a community. It brings us together with a common purpose, and such a good common purpose, the Buddha's teaching. So this is part of this is what's driven us, this dana, really. And it's always good to keep in mind, I mentioned it before, why is the Buddhist Society here? And of course, it's for teaching the Dhamma, for practicing the Dhamma, and for realising the Dhamma. You could also add for sharing Dhamma in there as well, for practicing, learning, teaching, learning, practicing, sharing, and also realising the Dhamma. And of course, we've established a Sangha, a monk Sangha, a nun Sangha, and we're making the teachings available far and wide. I mean, now we have people in Lithuania. Would you believe it? Hello. I can see him actually ask very good questions. So the Dhamma is spreading far and wide, and that is wonderful actually. The barriers of distance and time are dropping. Recently we had the 100th birthday, 100th birth anniversary of Ayakema. And I realised when I saw all the people from around the world how isolated we were. I didn't know anything about these people. And so I would go from one group to another group. But when you saw this anniversary celebration, you saw all the groups, and I thought, wow, the world is coming together, and we can share Dhamma in a much stronger way, and realise and be in contact with people way around the world. So the internet has really increased the scope for that. And I'd like to, big sadhu to the technology, the BSV technology team. They have kept abreast with it, and really, I mean, the Discord platform that they have introduced is the latest feature of that online community that's growing and benefiting from the Dhamma. So this is great. So, and it takes a lot of work. I know that. So very good. So this is what the Buddha's teachings really encourage us to do, to develop the Noble Eightfold Path. And that's where we have all that generosity, the sila, developing understanding, or we call it right view, that takes us, that leads to us having right intentions, good intentions for life. You know, not trying to get and gain, trying to give, and looking for happiness in here, not out there. That's where we've always looked for it. And also having that kindness, that loving kindness, that friendliness, and also that compassion and caring that drives the rest of the path, that drives our actions of body, of speech, right speech, isn't it? Right actions, and the livelihood, the way we live, and then the rest of the path, realising, practising, developing the mind, cultivating the mind, which is, of course, right effort, recognising the unwholesome and recognising the wholesome, and developing the wholesome and letting go of the unwholesome, the negative, as much as possible. Developing sati, mindfulness, and then samadhi, stillness, and then the seeing things as they truly are, understanding reality and attaining liberation. So that's where the teachings all go towards. And so on a day like today, just got to see the time, I really feel the main messages today, as I mentioned before, there's twin messages, but there's a third aspect too, and that is, this rejoicing, this joy that what has been done, this really rejoicing in all those that have contributed to the BSV over these many, many years. Everyone's played a part, some of them very, very vital parts. Strangely enough, those people meeting in a cafe in 1953, had they not done that, we wouldn't be here. So this is something, this developing, this mudita or this anumodana, rejoicing, is something that is very crucial to the Buddha's teaching. It's lifting the mind, giving energy to the mind, and turning the mind, giving the mind a more positive orientation that can really fuel our practice of meditation and bring happiness to our lives, our daily lives. The big balance, because these days there's plenty of bad news out there. Most news is pretty bad. And if we don't have this joy, if we don't have this rejoicing, then the mind tends to lose balance. It sees everything as very dark, very depressing. And of course, what it brings up too, when we rejoice, when we feel joyful about what has been developed, what has been built up over these years, we feel gratitude, thanks, thank you, BSV, sadhu, BSV, for all those people that have contributed to the BSV over these long years. So that is really the twin messages of today, rejoicing and also the gratitude. But for me, and I think for many of you too, I hope this is the case, it's also the people that I've met in the Buddhist Society of Victoria, the BSV, over the years that have really inspired me by qualities they have, really, and been role models for me over the years. And we call this, of course, kalyana mittas, spiritual friends. And they're so important. Of course, the Buddha says that they are the whole of the spiritual life. Having spiritual friends, having examples of the practice of the Buddha's teachings. So for me, of course, one of the big ones, the very early ones, was in the lay community, was Elizabeth Bell. And I knew her for quite a few years from when I came to Victoria in 1992. And I used to, as a layperson, drive her here, and we'd chat in the car. And I'd just like to share a little quote from her recollection of the BSV. I really encourage you to read it. It gives you a feeling for Elizabeth too, and that sort of gentleness and that very solid character that she had. And she said, "Joining the BSV was a most salutary experience for me." That's good. "If I had remained a solitary person just reading books, I would have built up in my mind visions of Buddhists as almost enlightened beings. Meeting Buddhism in the flesh, metaphorically speaking, with its fair share of human imperfections and with constant reminders of my own imperfections, kept my feet firmly on the ground." And this is when she joined the committees, the BSV committee. She joined BSV. So It's a very good point. You know, we're all working together, but you get a feeling for Elizabeth from that. And she was a great inspiration. And you can see, as Helen said, her character and her approach really shaped how the Buddhist Society developed over these years. And of course, there are many others, and you mentioned Mervyn Mendes. He was a great Kalyana Mitta for me as well, a great example. And so many others in the Buddhist Society. So, and of course in the Sangha there was Ajahn Jagro, Ajahn Brahm, Ayya Khema, Ayya Kaminda, Bhante G, Venerable Dhammika, many others too. So these Kalyana Mittas, very important for us. They, as I say, they give us an example. They give us a role model of how we can develop those particular qualities that spiritual friend, that Kalyana Mitta has. So today I'd just like to conclude by saying, you know, that this is, for me, the takeaway from today, that we can really rejoice in what has been developed, how the Buddhist Society has grown from that very small seed, maybe a coffee bean really, to the present day, which is extraordinary, it really is, and it's so heartening to see, and it's so important for us to keep that in mind when we think of all the things we need to develop or want to develop. So that rejoicing and being very grateful that this has happened, that we've had the opportunity to contribute in whatever way we can. And of course, the BSV's history gives us gives us a constant reminder of the nature of reality, anicca, the change, impermanence, temporariness of everything. And so many of our members have come and gone, and we will too. We are all playing our part in the Buddhist Society, giving what we can, contributing what we can while we have the opportunity. And it's so important to realise that for each of us, for myself too, that the opportunity doesn't come all the time. And this is one of the things you often learn from traditional Buddhists, you know, when they offer dana and like food or a lift or whatever they offer, and they say, "Thank you for the opportunity." And that's actually reality, because often we can miss the opportunities. And of course, when we reflect on the Buddhist Society of Victoria's history, you see the ups and downs. There were times when it was at very low ebb. There were times when there was dissension in the Buddhist Society. And you can see that we've weathered all those storms, and the Buddhist Society has continued to keep the wheel of Dhamma turning. And this is the aspect of non-self, really, anatta, that each and every one of us contributes a part to this process. And we can do what we can do. And really, I think nobody would dispute this, the world needs it. It's always needed it. But now, I think even more so, because we're all so connected, it's so intense, that the Dhamma is a great blessing for all of us. So I'd like to finish there, wishing happy birthday to all of us. I know some of you are not 70, some of us are over 70. So wonderful, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So now for the, we have the chanting and the blessing chanting. Oh, that's good. Thank you, Sri Jude. And so this is blessing chanting, dedicating the merit of today from everything that we have been talking about, listening about, discussing, and our thanks, our gratitude to those that have contributed to the BSV, whether they have passed away or whether they're living, they're still contributing. So now the Sangha will do the chanting, and this will be about 15 minutes, a little bit over 15 minutes. And then after that, we can have the pindapata. So we can start. Well, I've got to move it on. So, and if you just follow along with the slides, but there will be some variations to the slides, as you'll see. Samanta Chakavalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Sadamang Muni Rajasa Sunantu Sagamokadam Parita Savana Kalo Ayam Badanta Parita Savana Kalo Ayam Badanta Dhamma Parita Savana Kalo Ayam Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Asevana Chabalanang Panditanang Cha Sevana Puja Cha Pujaniyanang Etang Mangalam Uttamang Patirupa Desavaso Cha Pumbe Cha Kata Punyata Atta Samma Panidi Cha Etang Mangalam Uttamang Bahusa Chanchasi Pancha Vinayo Cha Susikito Subhasita Chayavacha Etang Mangalam Uttamang Mata Pitu Upatanang Puttadara Sasangaho Anakula Chakamanta Etang Mangalam Uttamang Danan Shadamacharya Nyatakanan Sangaho Anavajani Kamani Etang Mangalam Uttamang Arati Virati Papa Majjapana Chasanyamo Appamado Chadammesu Etang Mangalam Uttamang Karavo Chanivato Cha Santuti Cha Katanyuta Kalena Dhamma Savanang Etang Mangalam Uttamang Kanti Chaso Vachasata Samananan Shadasanang Kalena Dhamma Sakacha Etang Mangalam Uttamang Tapo Cha Brahmacharyan Cha Arya Sachana Dasana Nibbana Satcha Kiriya Cha Etang Mangalam Uttamang Puttassa Loka Dhammehi Chittang Yasana Kampati Asokang Virajang Kemang Etang Mangalam Uttamang Etadisani Katwana Sabbatama Parajita Sabbata Soting Gachanti Tante Sang Mangalam Uttamanti Yang Kinchi Vitang idavahurang vasange suvayang ratanang parnitang nano samang atitagatena idampi bodre ratanang parnitang etena sachena suati hotu kayang viragang amatang parnitang yada jaga sakya muni samahito natena dhammena samati kinchi idam pidam me ratanang parnitang etena sachena suvati hotu yam buddha seto parivanai suching samadhi manantarikan yamahu samadhi natena samona vidyati idam pidam me ratanang parnitang etena sachena suvati hotu ye pugala attasatang pasatta chattari etani yugani honti te dakineya sugata sasavaka ete sudinani mahapalani idam pisange ratanang parnitang etena sachena suvati hotu yesu payutta manasa dalhena nikamino gotama sasanamhi te patipatta amatang vigaya ladhamudhani buddhing punjamana idam pisange ratanang parnitang etena sachena suvati hotu kinang puranam nawang nati sambhavang virata citta ayatike bhavasmin te kina bija avirudhi chanda nibanti dira yatayam padipo idam pisange ratanang parnitang etena sachena suvati hotu. Karaniya mata kusalena yang tang santang padang abhisamecha sako ujucha sujucha suvacho cha samudu anatimani santu sako cha suparocha apakicho cha salahukavuti Santindriyo Janipakocha Apagambo Kulesu Ananugindo Nachakundang Samachare Kinchi Yena Vinyu Pare Upawadeyum Sukino Bhake Mino Hontu Sambe Satta Bhavantu Sukhitata Ye Kechipana Bhutati Tasawa Tavarava Anavasesa Dingawa Ye Mahantawa Majjhima Rasaka Anukatula Dita va yeva adita ye chadure vasanti avidure Bhuta va sambhave siva sambe satta bhavantu sukhitata naparoha niku metta Tachinam Kanchi Pyarozana Patigasanya Nanya Manya Sadukamicheya Matayata Niyang Putang Yusa Eka Putamanurake Evam Pisambhabutesu Manasambhavaye Aparimanam Metancha sambalokasmin manasam bhavaye aparimanam udang adochatiryancha asambadang averang asapatang titan sharang nisinova sayanova yavatasa vigatamido etang sating aditeya brahma metang viharam idamahu Ditinsha anupagama silava dasanena sampano kame suvineya gedham nahi jatu gambaseyam punareti. Sadhu. Wait a minute. Oh, it's not working. All right. There we are. And so now we can do the dedication. This is a general dedication for all the chanting. And then we'll do the dedication. I think this must have run out of battery or something. It's not working. Then we can do the dedication of merit to those that have passed away, and also sharing merit with those that are living, going through difficult times. So there we are. So this is the general dedication. Etena satcha vanjena dukkha upasamintu te etena satcha vanjena bhaya upasamintu te etena satcha vanjena roga upasamintu te. And now the next slide. Akasata chabumata devanaga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu loka sasana. Akasata chabumata devanaga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva Chirang rakantu desanam akasata chabumata devanaga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu mang paranti etavata cha amhe sambatang punya sampadang Sambe deva anumodantu Samba sampatti siddhya Etavata cha amhehi Sambatang punya sampadang Sambe bhuta anumodantu Samba sampatti siddhya Etavata cha amhehi Sambatang punya sampadang Sambe satta anumodantu Samba sampatti siddhya Idang vonyati nang hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Idang vonyati nang hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Idang vonyati nang hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo Yata varivaha pura paripurenti sagarang evam eva itodinang petanang upakappati nichitang partitang tumhang kipameva samijatu sambe purentu sankapa chando panarazo yatamani jyoti razo yata Sambaroga vinimuto Sambasanda pavajito Sambaveramati kanto Nibuto jatuang bhava Sambityo vivajantu Sambarogo vinasatu Mate bhavatwantarayo Sukhi dinga yuko bhava Abhivadana Silisa Nicham Buddha Pacayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvano Sukham Balam Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddhanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhammanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sanganubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. And now for the English. There we are, reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May you abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may you maintain well-being in yourselves. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that completes the chanting, the blessing chant, and now I think it's a handover for all the pindapata arrangements. Oh, we've got one more video.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, I've forgotten that. Oh,
just hold on, take your seat.
Not finished yet? Oh, all right. Oh, gee, we can't see it, but...
Just a message also for, we'd really like you to participate in an activity that the City Zen group has organised for us. It's to really look at what maybe the BSV will look like in the future in 10 years. So it's a time capsule. So there's the City Zen group who have set up a paper out there or a form that you can fill in, and you can put something about what you think the BSV will look like in the future. Yeah, and we'll open it up we'll scan it and we'll seal it away and we'll open it up in 10 years. Okay.
And we shall look upon when we celebrate our 80th birthday in 10 years' time and see the reflections and the thoughts that we had now, and see what it will be like in 80 years' time. Yeah. That will be great. Cool. Now, before, is there a slide? There's a slide. One more video before.
Just a short, from the Dhamma school again. Yeah, there we are. This is Jataka.
We at the BSV Dhamma School congratulate and thank the Buddhist Society of Victoria on their 70th anniversary.
Dhammachakka, Dhammachakka, round and round the Dhammachakka, 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 round and round the Dhammachakka, never starting, never ending, never starting.
great. Sadhu, sadhu. That was great.
As we take a break for pindapata and the lunch, can everyone seated down? Please take a seat and we let the monastic make their exit. The monastics are requested to gather outside in the front yard, in front of the Buddha Rupa. There's a short, quick photo sessions there. So can we allow the Sangha, so everyone sit down and let the monastic make their exit first. Thank you very much. And all of you are invited to go next door to join the pindapata queue, and after that follow. Hello. Okay. For the pindapata sessions, the viewers on the Discord will be able to view the pindapata sessions. So. Good. Okay, thank you very much, all of you. Maybe adjourn outside to join the pindapata queue. Thank you.